Hi, everybody. Welcome to Zesty Thoughts, episode 50 with your host, Annábla. This is kind of like a milestone episode for me, you guys. I'm so excited for today's episode. I have a fun segment at the end, so please stick around. I got some submissions this week, so we're going to do some commentary on that. But without further ado, I'm just going to dive on in. I got my notes right here. I have been in my influencer era this week. I filmed like a get ready with me. I filmed some makeup tutorials. I also filmed my nighttime routine, like my skincare routine last night. I'm really just trying to get my content game up. I'm kind of inspired to put myself out there a little bit more. It's like crunch time, y'all. I'm going to be releasing new music this year soon, hopefully. I've been doing a lot of recording this week. So I'm just like, I'm feeling, I don't know what it is about the Cancer season, but like, I'm like, all my emotions are there, they're existing. I feel like I'm processing them in a very healthy way. And so it's helping me to continue with my like momentum and my discipline in my daily life with like my career and like my artistic like projects that I have going on. Even though I have a lot of like turmoil in other aspects of my life, I don't know. There's something about this Cancer season that is just really giving me like the perfect environment to juggle all of the things that I have going on with like actually some peace and like clarity, which is amazing. So I'm just rolling with it. I'm taking full advantage of it. And Leo season is approaching, y'all. So I mean, I'm smitten obviously because of that too. I'm a Leo. My birthday is July 30th. So I'll probably do another birthday episode this year as well. Anyway, enough about me. Okay, into the first segment. I came to the most amazing realization this week. You're in your 20s and you're like, if you're in your 20s listening to this, you're discovering yourself. I feel like your 20s are like largely for like finding yourself, coming into your own, finding that balance of like being an adult and like embracing the things that are like true to you, like reflecting on your childhood and things that you enjoyed when you were little and like trying to find a balance between your younger and like your adult identities, if that makes sense. At least that's like what I perceive my 20s to have been like. So with that, like finding yourself comes with like a lot of ups and a lot of downs. So this week I've been tracking a lot of background vocals and working on basically vocal production for my single that's going to be coming out like hopefully soon. I don't have a timeline now because I'm still kind of demoing it out and finishing production and arranging and stuff like that. But this week I've spent a lot of time doing like vocal production and background vocals, and I find so much joy in it. As you come into your own in your 20s and you kind of solidify or like strengthen your identity and, you embrace your strengths and your passions and things like that. At least in Los Angeles, maybe this is just like for context of living in a major city. A lot of people, and I find myself in the past, like I'm trying to have less, strong ties to this, but a lot of people find a lot of value and confidence, and a lot of their self-esteem is tied to how they label themselves professionally when it comes to networking and meeting new people and just like walking through life. Like, I'm a director, I'm a singer, I'm a whatever, And so I, for so long, have been very confident in calling myself a singer because that's like where I know for sure my strengths lie, or like my biggest strengths lie. I, over the years, have grown more confident in like my songwriting abilities. And for a while now, I've confidently labeled myself as a songwriter because I know that I've really spent a lot of time and effort in honing my skills as a singer and a songwriter. I realized recently, and I'm going to try to like put this out here and manifest this and start to label myself as such, because I really am starting to see my strengths and my skills as like a vocal producer come out. Working on my single this week and recording a lot, made me come to this like amazing realization that like, wait, I feel like I'm like also a vocal producer. I don't know if I ever would have like labeled myself as such before. I've always known that singing is at the forefront of my skill. But it hasn't been until like later in life that I am recording a lot and I'm spending a lot of time like demoing stuff out and working on songs. I've just come to this like realization this week that like I am really good at doing that. So I want to put it out there. I want to start, advertising that as a part of like my skill set. Not just like on the pod right now, like randomly to try to like get people to work with me, but also just like in life. I think this is like the main reason I'm bringing this up is like a testament to like people in their 20s, like trying to figure out how to communicate their strengths and their skills. And I guess I'm just trying to offer this as a piece of advice. Like if you have a skill that you feel very passionate about, that you are self-aware enough that you know that you're good at it, and you want to like pursue it professionally, or you're like in the process of pursuing it professionally, and you feel like this imposter syndrome when it comes to like introducing yourself as such, because maybe you don't have the type of credits you want yet, or you haven't worked with like your dream collabs yet, or like you don't have awards or like large scale recognition in the public eye, doesn't mean that you can't label yourself as such. So I guess I'm just putting this out there as like a form of like PSA, like, hey, if you are in the creative field and you have skills and talents, and maybe you're coming up into this world and like approaching the entertainment industry in like a new way, or you're trying to reinvent yourself or formally put yourself out there, I would say, please don't hold back. If I look back on like my timeline, I think there was a time in life where like I was scared to label myself as a songwriter for whatever reason. I've always been writing since I was like 12. But I felt like because I didn't have a publishing deal, or because I didn't have like these insane credits, that I didn't feel like worthy of that label, because you network and people have this expectation of like, oh, I'm an actor, I'm a whatever. And it's like, okay, well, what have you been in? Like, what have you done? And I think that that's a really like dangerous expectation to like put on yourself. I think it's like very harmful. In fact, I think it's very dangerous to your creative flow to put those kind of expectations on yourself when you are still like working on building your career and your professional network. I think that deterring yourself from placing those labels on yourself, or, not having the confidence to, can really, really impact your, self-confidence as a creative. And I also think can contribute a lot to imposter syndrome. Like I said, I felt like at one point I couldn't call myself a songwriter because I lacked like accreditation or, whatever, success to a certain extent. And so I think that in a way like hindered me mentally when I went to write for whatever reason. I mean, if you just think about it, like going out and going to events and shows and networking and being like, yeah, I'm a singer, and like me leaving it at that and like not really sharing like my full quote unquote portfolio or like skill set, not putting that on full display was definitely doing me a disservice. At least at this phase in my life, I think that did impact me mentally when I went into writing sessions, or when I went into just write on my own. I think it was kind of this block in the way that was like in the back of my head reminding me like, well, you haven't achieved this yet. You haven't done this yet. So like, how can you call yourself that? And like, I don't know. I think it kind of like blocked my creative flow to an extent. So I'm just at least speaking on my experience with this type of like situation in order to hopefully inspire other people to be a little bit more confident in communicating their identity to other people. All I could hope for is that young creatives listening to this, err on the side of caution, make sure that if you have skills that you are honing in on and working on, don't be afraid to like label yourself as that and dress like the job you want, or fake it till you make it, because it definitely helps a lot mentally when you're working on your craft. I think it helps to kind of unblock any imposter syndrome in the moment of creation at the very least. So that would be my advice. Okay, on to the next segment. I have been doing a lot of yoga recently. For those of you that don't know, I'm going to sound like a broken record to the people that do know, but like in February, I was hit by a car. So it's been like a long journey of trying to get comfortable with like movement and fitness again. Prior to the accident, I was very active. I was doing like running a lot. I was doing races. I was lifting. So I was a very active person prior to this for like the longest time. And so getting back into movement has been very interesting to me. I've done yoga before. Like in high school, I used to do a lot, and like post high school, like first like year or so of college, I was still very heavily into yoga. During the pandemic, I was kind of also doing a lot of yoga because at home workouts, that was before I really got into running, but I haven't really done a lot of yoga in the last few years because I've been lifting heavily and running. That has been like my main form of fitness. But now it just seems like it's the most accessible to me. I'm definitely less anxious going into yoga sessions because I'm more familiar with the poses. I can anticipate if there's anything that may cause discomfort or like make me afraid about possible discomfort, then I can like modify things. So this YouTube channel that I found is called Breathe and Flow. It's literally at Breathe and Flow. His content is amazing. I never really like got into breathwork before. I've always been someone that's been very conscious of my breathing when it comes to fitness and just like life in general because I have asthma and I sing and I've always been pretty active. But for some reason, I'd never tried breathwork before. And I clicked on this video and it was literally like a 20-minute like morning yoga and breathwork like video. And it was like very chill. First of all, his pacing's amazing. I don't know about y'all, but I hate being in a quick flow yoga. It's harder for me to like access that like meditative aspect of yoga, which I feel like is like the whole point literally. If the flow is too fast. So I really like slower flow, long holds, so that I feel like I'm struggling a little bit more in like each pose, but then it like forces me to be more present and like focus on like mind muscle connection. And I just get a little bit more aware, which I feel like is kind of the whole point of yoga. So that's my preference. This video was like literally the perfect pacing ever. And then it ended with like breath work and like savasana. And the breath work was so interesting. I felt like this burst of energy after, and now I like low-key get what the hype is when it comes to like breath work like that, because it was very interesting. I feel like it obviously does what people say it does. It gives you like a rush of oxygen to your brain, helps with like alertness and awareness. And yeah, anyway, that's like kind of my thirst of the week, because now I'm incorporating it more into like my routine throughout the week. In addition to chanting and meditating and praying and doing yoga, I'm like doing breath work now, which is like so funny. Like when I first heard of breath work, I thought it was kind of like silly and like gimmicky for whatever reason. Maybe it was just like my perception of like the influencers that I saw doing it was like kind of cringe. But yeah, I'm going to bite my tongue on that one because now I'm like super into it. So I encourage, if you've ever considered doing breath work, I'm going to link this YouTube channel below, and I'll link the specific video that I went through because it was fantastic. 10 out of 10. On to the next segment. We went to the parade on the 4th of July. Me, my mom, and my godfather. I don't really know how else to like bring this up, but I'm just going to say it. Everybody was cheering for like every group that would come by. You know, there's Girl Scouts, there's Boy Scouts, there's like organizations, there's clubs, there's like, I don't know, random shit. There's churches, okay? All these random people that are walking in the parade. There's bands, all this stuff. Everybody's going, woo, cheering, thumbs up, you know, peace sign. Like everyone is being very active. People watching the parade, cheering, clapping, all this stuff. Interactive, okay? We got home and my mom and I were really on the same radar. We really are sometimes. We got home and my mom was like, Did you notice that when the Ballet Folklorico group went by, like everybody stopped cheering? And I was like, oh my God, I literally had thought the same thing. Like me and my mom were cheering, and there were like, I'm going to be so real. Pretty much everyone watching there, like families, pretty much everyone's white. Like it's the West Side. Like there's a lot of fucking white people. Okay. There were like some families of color that were like sitting near us. And it was like them and me and my mom and my godfather clapping and cheering them on. And everyone was just like crickets, radio silence. Like, huh? Okay. So that was crazy. And then my mom mentioned that when we got home, and I was like, yeah, I did notice that. We were like the only people clapping and cheering them on. And then I was like, also, there was like this Islamic group, like a mosque basically, that went by, and all these like members of the community, Islamic community, were like marching with them. And again, crickets, no cheering. And it was just like me, my mom, and again, this family of color. And I'm like, what? I'll be so honest. It totally burst my bubble regarding like diversity and dynamics and like energy as far as the West Side goes. Because I'll be honest, it's the West Side, it's the beach. There are always people from all parts of LA and tourists in this area of Los Angeles. I mean, it's just like Hollywood. You know, everybody wants to go to Hollywood. Everybody wants to go to Santa Monica Pier. So like when you're out in your daily life in Santa Monica, like living here from my experience, like you see diversity. But now I'm like starting to think like and realize like, I wonder if it's like just people that like don't live here that I'm seeing. When I go out and I see diversity, it's like people that work at businesses, like people shopping, people at the beach, people bike riding, like, and I'm like, do they not like live here? Either that or they're just like not the type of people that would like go to a parade. I don't know. It definitely made me like think a lot and like gave me a very different perspective. Maybe it was just a bad crowd. It very well could have been, but I'm like, it kind of gave me the ick. It kind of gave me like Huntington Beach vibes. I grew up in Huntington Beach, so it kind of gave me that ick. If y'all are getting what I'm putting down, it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. The vibes were really, really off. And it almost makes me want to like go to more like community events to see if that vibe is consistent. Maybe there are other people that live on the east side, specifically Santa Monica. I think like Venice, Marina, like that area is like very different. It's definitely more diverse in those areas. Because when I lived there, I like never got that vibe, specifically Venice. But like, yeah, I don't know what it is. Either that or just like the people that are more diverse are like young and are like my age, but like less likely to like go to a parade. I don't know. I definitely caught a vibe that I did not like. That's all I'm saying. And it makes me want to like go out and get more involved in the community to really like see if that's the vibe. You feel me? And my mom is like, oh, I grew up, you know, in like the 70s and 80s and like it was pretty diverse. Like we never had like issues, at least with like racism, like in high school or like when we were young adults. Like everybody like partied with everyone. Everyone was like friends with everyone. There was like never any like tension or like any like covert even like racism, at least from her experience. But I'm like, maybe your crew was just cool. Like maybe you were hanging out with people that were valid, that were cool, that were accepting and that weren't weirdos. Like you don't know the rest of like the wealthy side of the West Side was like maybe like always like that, and maybe they still are. So I don't know. It's interesting to me. So my radar is on for sure. And at the very least, I think I'm going to be a little bit more observant, and I will return with notes because I clocked that energy. I was like not feeling it at all. Anyway, my thirst of the week is Cicaplast. La Roche-Posay Cicaplast. I'm going to put a little picture here so you guys know. If you are like chronically online and you are on like skincare side of like TikTok or IG, you've probably heard influencers and derms talk about Cicaplast. I have always had very dry skin. I've talked about it on the pod before. I wanted something other than just like slugging, because sometimes I'll slug with Aquaphor. Sometimes I'll slug with jojoba oil, or castor oil. But like, I feel like pretty rejuvenated in the morning after I use those products. But I really felt like, I was like, I just like need something. I went to PR. The humidity was high. My skin was just like plump and moisturized. And then I came back to LA, the California desert, and my skin was like SpongeBob on the slab under the lamp. Like I was like literally starved for anything. And I was like, let me see about this. Let me see about Cicaplast. So I got some from CVS, and I will say, I read like a lot of reviews talking about like, oh no, it's going to give you like comedones. It's going to like break you out. A lot of people were saying like, if you have acne prone skin, like don't do it. Which I have also acne prone skin, but I also like thought about it. And I was like, considering like I haven't really had acne, knock on wood. I haven't had acne for like a long time, for like years now, for like 5-6 years. Then I'm like, well, let me give it a shot. I'll still be using my AHA, BHA ordinary mask once a week, my holy grail acne prevention product. And let me see the vibe. And, I did see like a few comedones on my chin and here, but those are kind of spots where like, even when I slug with like other things, I kind of get those too. So I don't know, maybe I just need to make sure that I'm doing like a deeper clean. When I woke up the next morning after using it, I do feel like my skin looked a little bit more even, a little smoother, a little more like youthful, if that makes sense. And that's crazy for me to say because I'm literally 27. Like, what are you talking about? You are youth, like girl. But yeah, I really liked it. And so I would highly recommend if you want a specific product to slug with. I don't think it's recommended to use it daily. So maybe slug with like an oil or something else daily and just use this when you need that extra boost. Or if you're skin cycling like I am, I do exfoliate, retinoid, and then 2 rest days. And then I start over, exfoliate, retinoid, and so on. On my 4th day in the cycle, the day before I'm going to exfoliate again, I will use the Cicaplast. And I feel like it's been working really well. It's a great addition to my skincare routine. So 10 out of 10. It's so funny to me how literally I embrace winter and fall, and it's like my favorite season ever. And I just like love it. And I'm just like, oh, I like the vibes, like the holidays, like I like having work off. And it's just like my favorite vibe overall. But then every year, it's like I have amnesia for how much I like summer. I don't know what that is. I think it just gets so hot at a certain point that I'm like, end it now. I hate it. Get away from me, summer. And I literally get amnesia over the fall and winter because I do love cold weather. But I swear, I completely forget every year how much I do love summer. And what I think it is about summer that I really like specifically, because it's definitely not the heat, girl. I love the sun setting later in the day, okay? So I can actually get off work and still like see the sunset. Or like I get off work because I get off work at like 8 p.m. and I can like see the skies like rainbow. It just looks like Fruit Loop cereal milk, and like, I just love seeing that vibe. But yesterday, after seeing the moon yesterday's date was 7/9. If any of y'all were out Wednesday evening and you saw the freaking moon, oh my God. So I think that's partially what it is. 1 is like it's just like a little sun kiss. 2, the sun sets later. But 3, being able to see the moon during the day is the sickest thing ever. Like no one can convince me otherwise. I just think it's the coolest fucking thing ever. And like, it's one of those things that like reminds me that I'm on a planet. If that makes any sense. I'm like, oh my God, I'm literally in space. I'm literally on a planet, because you see the moon and the sun at the same time. It's like, it makes me feel like I'm on Tatooine and I have like multiple moons and like, oh, it's crazy. I just love seeing it so much. So yeah, that's like one of my thirsts of the week, is being able to see the moon during the day, period, point blank. Okay. I had kind of an egg bite fiasco this week, and I really need help. This is a formal SOS. A few months ago, when I started eating eggs again, I was like, oh, I love eggs, but like I hate having to cook eggs every single day. I also have a dairy sensitivity, like a lactose sensitivity, and all of the store-bought egg bites have cheese in them. Like literally find me one that does not have dairy. I'll wait. Okay. I've searched far and wide. I've been having a really hard time finding one that does not have dairy. So I was like, well, I'll just make some on my own. Like a few months ago, I was like, okay, well, let me just solve this problem. I'll make egg bites on my own, just like freeze them and take them out and reheat them. Okay. I have a cupcake tin from IKEA that's supposedly a non-stick. Okay. Supposedly is the key word here. I lined the cupcake tin with like an avocado oil spray. Okay. I put the egg mixture in the pan and I put it in the oven. Okay. I followed a recipe, y'all. I didn't just like eyeball this. I followed a damn recipe that I found on Pinterest, and the recipe betrayed me, or something along the line. IKEA may have betrayed me too, because for the life of me, when I took those egg bites out and I let them rest, then I tried to get them out of the pan. You guys, I am fully traumatized from that experience. Trying to get those egg bites out of the pan. I was like, I thought this was nonstick and I literally used oil. Why isn't it coming out of the pan? I was so upset. I probably lost the equivalent of like 3 or 4 eggs worth of egg just trying to get them out of the pan. And I was just like, okay, lovely. So they were decrepit looking. They were not cute. They tasted actually fantastic and amazing and fine, but they looked horrible. And I was just like, how does one achieve the egg bite texture? And how does one get the egg bite out of the pan without it sticking? Like, be so for real. Okay, so then I was traumatized. I literally had to wash that pan like fucking 8 times in order to like get it out. And there's still like remnants that were crusted and burnt. And I was just like, I literally give up. Okay. Once again, I don't know what it is about me like having amnesia for things that I don't like, but like I completely forgot about that experience. It was completely wiped from my mind. And this week I was like, I'm going to make egg bites again. Okay. I'm going to use the same pan for whatever reason. But I was like, this time I'm going to throw some gloves on because I love using gloves when I cook, so my hands don't get all like icky and pruny. Dry hand problems. You feel me? So I was like, let me slap some gloves on. Okay. And I'm going to scoop up some vegan butter. Okay. Slather it all over the inside of each cupcake hole. Okay. I spent all that time meticulously getting an even layer of Miyoko's oat butter. Okay. And then I was smart. I was like, wait, I'm going to pop that shit in the fridge so that it doesn't drip down and melt. Okay. While I'm whipping up the eggs. So I did that, whipped up the eggs, took it out of the fridge, poured the egg mixture in, put it in the oven. Once again, I followed a recipe, a different recipe this time, but I followed a recipe. Okay. They didn't burn like last time, but tell me why I still could not get them out in one piece. I was like, not again. Not again. Not again. I was so upset, but I was just like trying to hold it together. I was just trying to like, it's okay. You can still eat the egg bites, but like the bottom is like all gone. Okay. So this is a formal SOS, basically. Before I like fully crash out on y'all, this is a formal SOS. How do you get the egg whites to not stick? Because I used oil, I used butter, and I'm like this close to just buying silicone liners, like cupcake liners on Amazon, because I don't know what the fuck else to do. I really don't know what else to do. If you have perfected an egg bite recipe and I don't have to use dairy, and I don't have to use silicone molds in the oven, because the idea of that just like freaks me out. Please let me know. Like, how does Starbucks do it? They're literally perfect on every side. I don't understand. I'll never understand. Anyway, so Formal SOS if anybody can assist in that. All right, everybody, on to the final segment of the pod, what you've all been waiting for. I texted some of my closest friends this week. I was like, okay, I have episode 50. I'm going to record this week. I want to feature some of my friends talking about their hot takes, their thirsts of the week, obsessions, anything along those lines. Okay? I just want to hear them opinions. You feel me? So here it goes. Here's our first submission.
I'm going to tell you right now, my biggest fucking pet peeve that I have experienced the most recently is slow walkers or people that are just like so unaware of their surroundings when they're walking around. It drives me insane.
Oh my God, what a good one to start off with. Yeah. Oh my God, that's a crazy one. Slow walkers. That's so funny. There's like a TikToker right now that has been posting like videos walking behind people that are like shitty walkers. And they just like, I think it's like different cities too, or maybe it's like different people doing the same trend of just shitty walkers. But dude, literally, I hate that shit too, especially if you're like in an area that you're familiar with. My personal least favorite place to like be stuck behind a slow walker is Disneyland. If you have ever had a Disneyland annual pass or an annual pass to basically any theme park for that matter, and you've been a regular there, you know the rides you want to go on. When you go, it's like a mission. It's not like you're just chilling, you're not leisure, you're not just like, whatever. Except for the days when it rained. Like those were the best days in my opinion to go to Disneyland because like all the kids want to leave or the parents want to leave because it's raining and it's like dead. But when it's busy and you have a mission of like where you want to go, in what order, and you're like not messing around. You're not a tourist, you know, you're like basically getting stuck behind tourists at Disneyland is literally the most annoying thing ever. And I don't think the annoying thing is just like people being in your way. To me, the most annoying thing is that people are just like not self-aware enough to know when they're in someone's way or when they're just like standing in the middle of a walkway. Yeah. Could not agree more, girl. That shit ticks me off for sure. That's a major, major, major pet peeve of mine. On to the next.
My pet peeve is when I'm at the park with a kid I'm babysitting and other kids come up to me and talk to me as if we're friends. And I hate that.
Bro, kids are crazy. Kids are crazy. I work with kids, y'all. I'm a private music teacher. Kids are nuts. Kids really be doing the most out in the wild. Like, let's be so real about it. I've personally never experienced that where like a kid just like pretended to like automatically be friends with me. I think it'd be kind of cute. Like when an adult human is like, we're besties, like right away, it's like, red flag. But if a kid were to do that, like, do you want to be my friend? Actually, no. I do have some experience with like a kid doing this, but it was like my neighbor. She's 5. She's super shy at first, and then she finally was like, she like invited me to her birthday party one day and was like super friendly one day. And I was like, oh my God, so cute. But like when you're babysitting, that's like a very different context. That's really funny. I feel like that would kind of annoy me, especially if I was like clocked in babysitting, watching like someone else's child, like locked in, like really trying to like watch a human, right? Okay. If another kid came up to me and tried to like distract me to begin with, I'd probably crash out. So I get it. Yeah. I totally get that one. Even though I can't really speak from experience, I see where you're coming from.
My hot take is that I believe once the next Wicked comes out, the part 2, we're going to hear about Ethan Slater and Ariana Grande splitting. Hopefully. Crossing your fingers. Crossing my fingers.
Girl, I literally hope to. Come on. That relationship just doesn't seem real to me. That relationship is invalid in my eyes. And I know it's like, damn, girl, you're a hater. Like, why you have to hate on celebrity relationships? Like, why are you hating on Ariana Grande? Because, like, Mr. SpongeBob, really? Really? Let's be so real. Let's be so freaking real. I don't know. Maybe I am vain enough that I judge beautiful women for dating men that are like not even remotely conventionally attractive. maybe that is just a part of me that's like super vain. Like I'm taken by a beautiful man. If I were not, I could never date an uggo. I'm so sorry. Like, I don't care how great the personality is. So maybe it's just coming from that part of me that's like, no to uggos. And I know that's so subjective, but like, we all know an uggo when we see an uggo. So not trying to be mean. It's just the truth. But yeah, girl. Oh my God. Wicked 2. I literally can't wait to see it. Yeah, that honestly, timeline-wise, that would make so much sense if they waited until the movie came out to make an announcement like that. Or PR brain, okay? They announce the breakup right before the movie comes out. I mean, as if they even need to like do any like PR advertising for part 2. Part 1 was so successful that like they could probably not market part 2 at all. They could literally just release it and then everybody be like, wait, it's out. And then everybody would freak out and go to the box office. So I don't know, but that's crazy. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm also hoping for their demise. Sorry about it.
My current thirst is my boyfriend, who I'm not outing, but yeah, you don't have to share this one.
No, girl, that's so funny. Period. You're like, my current thirst is my man. Yeah, we can keep that anonymous if you want. That's totally fine, girl. I love it. My everyday thirst is my man. So I'm right there with you. Okay, on to the next.
I'll start with my hot take. My current hot take of the day is that we should go back to a time where we judged people for saying Cali instead of California. Because that's fucking stupid. Like, I just feel like it's slowly becoming a thing where Californians are saying Cali. And I remember, like, being a young Californian and someone would be like, oh, you're from Cali? And I would look at them with judgment in my eyes and be like, I'm from California. I think we should bring that back. I don't like Cali. I think it's stupid, and I don't like it. I think it's dumb, and it needs to go away.
That's a good one. Oh my God. I also still judge people for that. I am right there with you. I feel like only people not from California, like people born in California, I like, no, don't even want to say it out loud. It's just kind of cringe to me. So like, absolutely not. California or SoCal. I think SoCal is okay. NorCal, SoCal, because like Californians say those words to like refer to NorCal and SoCal. I feel like those are not cringe. But Cali, yeah, that's a no for me. I literally could not agree with you more. It's cringe. I don't like it.
One of my biggest pet peeves in the entire world is when someone says excuse me, but before you move out of the way, they like move you. Like, bitch, that's not the point of excuse me. You're supposed to say excuse me, you wait for me to move, and then go where you're trying to go. If you just like push me out of the way or slightly move me as you're saying excuse me, that's fucking rude and it bothers the shit out of me. Get out of my life.
That's a really good one. Okay, coming from my perspective, I hate it when like you say excuse me and like the person doesn't move, but it would never ever in my mind occur to me to physically move the person. Okay, I would be so annoyed inside being like, excuse me. I'd say that shit 30 times if I had to. I would never touch the person to move them. So like, yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy to do. To say excuse me and then physically touch someone, especially if it's a stranger, that's some weird shit. I could never. I literally could never. So yeah, I'm like, sorry if you've experienced that because that's super fucking weird. It would never occur to me to do that. I would keep saying excuse me. And it's like, you're going to look like the fool. I'm not touching you. I'm not looking like a fool. You're going to look like the fool for not moving. Yeah, literally that. Oh my God. Speaking this super like small tangent. There's this like trend that people like post about on TikTok that's like, as a feminist, like what is something you do to like push back against the patriarchy like in your daily life? And like one of them is like, I read this like a long time ago. One of them was like, when I'm like walking down the street and there's like a man and he's like walking in the same like line of sight as me, like I don't move. I just like keep walking forward and make him move. And like ever since I read that and like saw that, I literally do the same thing. Like I never move for men, literally ever, unless they're like disabled or something like that. Obviously there's an exception, or maybe if they're like old, but like able-bodied men, I'm not moving for. And like to that extent, I when we went to the parade, oh my gosh, when I was literally at the parade, this is adding to the vibe that I felt. I was walking down the street and it was kind of like busy, okay? But like when you're walking on a sidewalk, it's like the inside is like, you can feel the direction everyone's going. If you're walking with the same like flow of traffic, you're on the inside. If you're opposite traffic, like you're does that make sense? I feel like I'm describing that in a bad way. If you're walking on the sidewalk, okay? If you're on the right side, you're like on the inside of the sidewalk. Does that make sense? That's this direction. I don't know what I'm describing, okay? There's a set direction of the inside of the sidewalk and the outside of the sidewalk. Walk certain ways, okay? That's like always been a thing. That's just like everywhere you go, okay? When someone's walking on the wrong side, there was this dude walking on the wrong side, and like I just saw him coming straight at me, straight forward. Wasn't on his phone or anything, was just literally looking straight forward. There was no one next to me. He had full room to move, and I just kept walking straight forward. And then as soon as he was about to bump into me, I was like, "Excuse me," like really loud, because like, bro, what? And then he like moved at the last second, but he bumped into me. Like he did not, like he like was not gonna move. Okay. So I get it. But also like I would never say excuse me and like not be patient enough to like keep saying it again, because I want to be the better person. I'm not touching a stranger in that way. That's weird. Okay. Last one, y'all.
Okay. My biggest pet peeve is when you spend hours editing a video just for it to get 2 views.
Girl, I was going to have a whole segment on the pod at one point about Instagram engagement. Because, girl, come on. Let's be so for real. Instagram is trash now. You could spend hours and hours and hours editing, and it's like you could have really good quality content and that shit just gets shadow banned in a second. I don't know what it is. The only things that go viral or get any actual traction or engagement on Instagram now, first of all, are reels, photos. Like they literally said, fuck off to photos. And it's like, it's Instagram. It's like a photo app. That's like what it always was and always has been. Like, huh? And on top of it, like, first of all, it has to be a reel for whatever fucking reason. I don't know why. I hate when I go to someone's profile and they only have reels. That shit pisses me off. Like, if I wanted to see videos of you, I would go to your TikTok. I want to see photos on Instagram. When I go to someone's profile and I'm trying to look for just like a photo to like zoom in on and all they have are reels, that shit pisses me off so much. Or it's like a cute photo and then you go to click on it and you realize it's just a thumbnail to a reel. Like, bro, that literally grinds my gears. I can't even say enough. But no, literally that's the worst thing ever. It has to be like fitness content, cooking content, beauty content, or like relationship content. At least that's what like on my like reels feed, that's all I see. Or that's the only stuff that like actually gets traction, or fashion content. It's all the same shit. Anyway, I'm going to end on that note, y'all. I'm going to do a whole other segment on my beef with Instagram because for real, girl, I'd be doing the same thing. I'd be putting all this effort into my shit and engagement is trash. So I'm right there with you. All right, everyone, that's going to wrap up our 50th episode here at Zesty Thoughts. Thank you so much for coming along with the ride. I hope that you are enjoying and that you're going to ride along with me for another 50. You're going to make it to 100, baby. My goal is to get 10K subscribers on YouTube. So if you are watching, please subscribe on YouTube. Give me a like, throw a comment in there, give me one of your hot takes or one of your thirsts or something along those lines. Throw something in there and I'll react to it in the next episode because I still have others that I'm going to be reacting to in the future. I want to like incorporate that more into the show. Thank you so much for coming along with the ride. And if you've been here all 50 episodes, I literally love you, babes. You're a day one bit. For life. Thank you so much for coming along with me. I'm excited for the next 50. So I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend and that you stay safe and have fun. And I'll see you next week. Bye.